Hey everyone, hope everybody is doing well. First of all, I like to talk about the fact that I apologize. I haven't made a real video like this in months. I've been pretty busy. There's a lot of things in my way. And as you know, I'm actually recording this in the office where I work at. It is actually in Escondido, California, northern part of San Diego. No, I did not permanently move there. We have another office in Las Vegas, but obviously short staff, we temporarily move around. So I've been busy with things, but I had to make this important video because 2020 has been such a, I guess you can say exciting, but a very turbulent year. A lot of turmoil, a lot of nerve-wracking. And people are just telling me they can't wait for this year to be over. A lot of lockdowns. And I can tell you from my experience, there's a lot of people out there, the media, everyday people, that I have difficulty trusting. And this lockdown has been really, really intense. Now, you can argue, you can say, well, the lockdown was too far, but nobody can deny that this lockdown has cost a lot of jobs. It has caused a lot of pain, suffering, addiction problems, and people are just waiting, just hoping, what can we do just to get out of this? Now, you may argue that this is just a way to manipulate the political landscape, the economy, basically to distract from the next economic downturn, and you can argue that the stock market is kind of used as to cover up the economic pain, to prevent the next pull down by the Wall Street machine. Certainly a lot of jobs have been lost, and no doubt that this has been a very turbulent year for the state of Nevada. And the question is how this will have an impact in the 2020 elections. Now, as you know, Nevada in the last 15, 20 years has tilted over the years for a number of reasons. A lot of large money interests have flowed in. You can argue the changes of population mainly due to immigration. You can argue these unions certainly have had a significant impact. And whether you argue that the shutdowns in the state of Nevada went too far, it's hard to deny the fact that putting Mr. Jim Murren as part of the COVID task force, and again, he is the guy that I have exposed and I have confronted more than any other individual in the state of Nevada. I believe he is the most dangerous man in our state. Now, I've heard rumors that this guy basically saw COVID-19 as part of a social engineering plan to take down the Las Vegas economy. So he left in February, knowing the fact, had insider information. Yes, there was insider trading, not just because of Route 91, but even the COVID-19 March downturn in the stock market. He wanted to exit. It was all set up by insiders, by politicians like Sisolak. I'm hearing a lot of these claims. I could be wrong. And the fact that he was part of the COVID task force basically exposes and shows the true color of not only what's going on, but who our government and who these scumbag politicians really work for. Basically, you can see that Sisolak, just like Sandoval, a lot of these politicians out there, they are agents, Reid, of the casino elite establishment. And you got to keep in mind, who are the ones that pump them in? It's not just these mega donors, it's these phony labor unions. Now, I've had videos I've seen later on that essentially union members are now pulling down a lot of Republican flyers and signs all over the Las Vegas Valley. I saw a video about somebody pulling down a flyer of Dan Rodheimer. And not only that, but they vote and they manipulate. And I've heard reports that a lot of their votes count more than once in droves. They bus them to the polls. And there's no other dangerous organization that I have seen, no manipulative group as the Culinary Workers Union. The way I see Culinary Union, I don't see the union as really a union that wants to literally help workers. I believe that they are largely in bed. And again, a lot of progressive Democrats, many who supported Bernie and Tulsi, have told me this. They're in bed with these casino elites, They're in bed with Reid. That's how he got elected. And what they do is they basically manipulate the minds of these individuals. And this is, again, one of the reasons why, the main reason why I have a problem with immigration. They use these immigrants primarily, playing these identity games to bust them in the polls. And this is designed so that they have these record turnouts to get these scumbag politicians elected, to manipulate the laws and get them passed to benefit these very few wealthy, powerful elites. This is how controversial, this is how corrupt this area really, really is. Again, the two largest issues I've had living in Las Vegas is corruption and the urban design, which I've talked about in many of my other videos and I will do in the future days. Now, here's the thing though. This could really backfire. These shutdowns, the mass unemployment, many people thought that it could backfire against President Trump. However, there's a lot of reasons why it may happen, and there's a lot of reasons why it won't. Because first of all, right now, a lot of these culinary union people, they're unemployed. They have no job. And they're not working in these casinos. And if they're not working in these casinos, it's a lot harder for these union individuals to mobilize, to grab them from these casinos, bust them into the polls, and basically pump as many votes as they can. Now, I've heard rumors that they give people gift cards, like back in the day, to pump votes for people like Reid. And here's the thing. I don't really think that this is a legitimate union. For one reason is, let me show you why. Because if they really were a legitimate union, as you can see right here, you can see how that highly compensated employees like Jim Murren, Wynn, Gary Loveman, Sheldon Adelson, if you really think they were about workers and getting higher wages and making sure that everybody has a good share of the income gains, why do we see all this income inequality? From what I was told is the unions were built, they were strengthened in the 1930s and 40s to reduce income inequality. But why isn't this union coming after this? And here's another thing. Why isn't this union, believe it or not, had one opportunity or so to invite the Democrat presidential candidates for 2020, Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang, into their platform? Why didn't they have contact with them? I thought that Trump was against people of color. I thought that Donald Trump was somebody who was against immigrants. Well, Tulsi and Andrew Yang, they're people of color. Why didn't they invite them in? I thought Andrew Yang has a solution for the mass joblessness that's happening due to automation. You see, this really shows their true colors. The main job of the culinary union is to pump scumbag politicians who are establishment, mainly Reid. And one of the reasons why they didn't turn out in 2014, because Brian Sandoval, the incumbent governor, was part of their agenda. A lot of these politicians, both parties, they're part of the same agenda. However, you have to keep in mind, though, that as a result of this shutdown, a lot of people have left, including immigrants, and this can backfire. Maybe there isn't that many people to vote around. One example of things to vote, a Latino outreach group. Again, they play their identity politics that would register 21,000 voters by Labor Day. It's now 6,000. A lot of people are losing interest, and looks like they have not gotten the interest that they wanted to, basically from the midterms election. And it's just looking really, really sad. Now, as you know, last time in 2016, Nevada was very, very close, but I can tell you this, there's a lot of people that are frustrated. I've seen a lot of protests all over Southern Nevada. They're pro-Trump. They're anti-Sisolak, anti-mask mandate. I went to one of them. I've even met a woman where we dated and saw her in one of those mass protests. So a lot of times people can say, well, all these people who have had their businesses shut down and they're frustrated, well, what are they supposed to do? They're angry, they're upset, they want to go back to work, and they're going to be rushing to the polls. However, there's a lot of other factors that may, on the other hand, counter this situation. One of the reasons for that is because, well, you can argue they've changed the laws, the mail-in vote-in. Maybe Culinary is going to come at a stronger, more powerful force this time. But yet, on the other hand, I have not seen a lot of ads and signs from people like Susie Lee, from people like Canizaro, from people like many other Democrat candidates. The signs I've seen has not been as large as it was in 2018. But then again, you have to understand is that the big money donors are coming in. One of the things I'm not a fan of our current president, and I've told you this before, there's many things I disagree or I think the president hasn't done that could have helped our country, which is Wall Street. I have hardly heard any plans of the president to bring back Glass-Steagall. The fact is, we're in another housing bubble. Mortgage rates went down. It's inflating another bubble. And Trump is out there talking about, oh, well, housing is starting to get a boost. This is good for our economy, but not really, because it's just inflating a bubble, which is going to crash very likely pretty soon. But here's the other thing, though. Wall Street, along with many of these interests that have ties with the Federal Reserve, donated millions of dollars. I heard about $74 million to the campaign of Biden. And I can tell you this, look, Biden, it's not just the fact that he has dementia and he's got the Hunter Biden scandal. You look at his track record, the trade deals, the wars, Wall Street, all of that, it's just ugly. What are you getting out of this guy? Let's be honest here. So one of the things is that regardless of who wins, we are in a housing bubble. And I can see this imploding, and it's going to look very ugly next year or so. So either way, I can see our economy really go down to toilet. And the other sad problem is that a lot of these politicians or candidates who are running from both parties, they're not talking about Wall Street, the next possible foreclosure crisis, acting like Las Vegas wasn't the hardest hit area about 10 years ago in the Federal Reserve. Why? Both parties are really silent about it. So what exactly do you really think is going to happen? So as you know, let's take a look at the presidential election map. And I know you guys are looking at this thinking like, oh, well, this is so optimistic, but this is perhaps the best case scenario for Trump. Again, New Hampshire, he was very close. Nevada, close one. Michigan, it was very, very close. He's doing a lot of campaigning in these states. He's certainly come to Nevada many, many times. So I can see this as the best case scenario for our president, but the best case scenario for, I guess, Joe Biden, you can see him take Nevada, New Mexico, Colorado, these Great Lakes states. Can he take Virginia? Certainly that's on the table, but you let me know what you guys think. This is going to be a really, really, really tense moment. And the fact that I'm in Escondido, California, I won't be returning to Nevada for Election Day. I did vote, believe it or not. So I know you guys are a lot of concern about me, but I'll probably be in downtown San Diego, Gaslamp Quarter on Election Day. I'm going to see if things get really, really crazy. Should I go? I don't really know. But like I said, it all depends on the labor union turnout. We have to really, really see how this plays on. Remember, this union is a part of an ugly machine. They're designed to manipulate our elections, to pump vote for corrupt politicians. And if they don't turn out, not only Nevada may turn red, well, guess what? Clark County may turn red. Clark County isn't really a blue county when you think about it. The reason why it may seem very blue is because about 3/4 about the population of the state lives in Clark County. And believe it or not, when you think about it, that county has just so much influence and power that it makes it feel like Clark County is a really blue county. But in reality, when you think about it, it's not really that blue compared to places like San Francisco, Seattle, Chicago, New York. It's not that blue. The Black Lives Matter riots was nothing in comparison to all those other cities. I was there, you remember. And I think a lot of that rioting is certainly going to backfire. People don't want lawlessness. They don't want all this civil unrest. So let's just take a look at this article. Nevada does not have the resources to do that yet. And they're telling you all these polls. They're saying, well, Biden is 10 points ahead. Look, we saw what happened 4 years ago. They were off. Now, you can argue, well, Hillary won the popular vote, so got that accurate. But remember, what matters is the Electoral College. Remember, the polls got it wrong for Bernie many times, too. That's the thing. And they did rig it against them. So you can see here it goes down through many, many shutdowns. Tourism is down. But once again, a lot of people, they want to get back to work. And I think this whole pumping of Sisolak and all these shutdowns has really, really backfired. A lot of people I talk to, they think that this shutdown has really, really gone downhill. Look at this. And there was a lot of Trump parades everywhere. Lake Mead, all across the city. There was actually violence there about a week or two ago. So this is the thing. Let's go down to the Mi Familia vote. I see all these identity groups. I mean, this is one of the reasons why we have a problem with immigration, ladies and gentlemen. It's no wonder, because people are just tired of all these identity games. And so you can see here, but they are both bad. Well, I guess a lot of them are really not going to turn out. Now, as far as I know, I don't want to be misunderstood. Look, I don't trust a lot of these candidates. I don't trust a lot of these politicians. This is one of the reasons why my channel is not really focused on this. This is one of the reasons why I want to build this urban master plan project outside of the Las Vegas Valley, because I know making a difference in society is done by arts, innovation, technology, not by politicians. It's just too divisive. It's too ugly. And you got to understand that when you want to make change in this world, do activism, fight back in your streets, protest, or fight back through other means. Build support for one group that will get traffic from other opposing groups. That's what I'm trying to do with all this housing, real estate development. So you got to make sure that you don't really rely so much and act like as if the ballot box is just going to rescue you from everything. Because a lot of times we see it's just an illusion of choice. That's a sad truth. All right, you guys, let me know what you guys think. What do you think 2020 is going to look at? Getting kind of nervous. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm just going to be prepared. It's a very, very turbulent time.
But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks. And it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table to figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. By the way, it's the same big club they use to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.